destruction. What we're already seeing back home is massive mines the size of entire cities. What we're seeing back home are polluted land, contaminated water, fragmented forests, and completely devastated forests like the Boreal. And the Boreal is one of the last remaining pristine forests in the world, which they call the lungs of Mother Earth. And what we're seeing is this forest being taken down every day. What we're seeing is actually Canada becoming the #1 in deforestation worldwide. Shame. Shame.
Sorry.
My community has been dealing with 3 decades since I was born, from oil, gas, logging, tar sands, and now fracking in our traditional territories. And this is what communities in Alberta are dealing with, to be able to try to basically become the quote-unquote superpower that the Harper government wants. And I think that's a crazy violation of human rights. It's a crazy violation of the rights of Mother Earth. It's a crazy violation that we see 100 environmental laws and regulations being taken down in Bill C-38 and 45, things that we've never seen in environmental and Canadian history. The fact that the Harper government thinks that it has the audacity to allow this type of destruction to happen across our homelands and into this beautiful place in the West Coast. Shame. And I think it's really important also to remember that, you know, we already have 300,000 barrels per day coming out to the West Coast from our homelands. And so that's why we already see the impacts. You know, we're only at 2 to 3% of what they want to actually do to expand tar sands to the biggest industrial project on the face of the planet. So our communities are already dealing with all of the impacts, you know, that you hear about. We have elevated rates of cancers, we have respiratory illnesses, and we actually, within our lifetime, by 2040, we'll be seeing the woodland caribou completely extirpated or extinct locally in the tar sands in our homelands because of tar sands expansion. So I think, you know, one of the things that I really want to continue to see as this movement grows, because this movement is growing. You know, 7 years ago when I started doing this work, a lot of people were like, I'd be like, oh, I work on tar sands issues. And they're like, tar sands and Jane? Like, they didn't know actually what tar sands was, you know. They thought it was some imaginary thing, and we didn't have a national dialogue, we didn't have a local dialogue even within Alberta about what tar sands was. What was this changeover from fossil fuels and a conventional fossil fuel, you know, this free-flowing oil, to this like very solid mass of basically clay, sand, and you get out 11 to 18% of this bitumen, right? So this extraction process that is contributing to climate change. And that's a lot of people, you know, that we're going to be hearing from today are talking about how climate change is impacting people elsewhere and how irresponsible and completely disrespectful and disgusting the Harper government is being in regards to other people in other parts of the world that are already experiencing immense climate change. You know, one of our friends from the Philippines, one of my friends, Sean, just came back the other week, and he went to go see where his mom's family is from, and that, you know, basically a village that was completely inundated by the floods, you know, where thousands of people lost their lives. And we know that every year thousands, you know, hundreds of thousands of people die from climate change already. We know already that millions of people are made climate refugees, and how irresponsible the Harper government is to these people internationally, and how irresponsible and disrespectful they are to people, you know, within Canada, not allowing for us to assert our Indigenous sovereignty, for us to allow us to assert inherent, you know, Aboriginal and treaty rights. It's something that's instilled in the Section 35 of the Canadian Constitution, something that was instilled in the Constitution, and yet they completely sometimes try to bulldoze over. And so that's something that we're actually seeing changing. You know, when you're supporting First Nations legal challenge, you're supporting actually the rights of all Canadians to have access to clean air, to clean water, to the lakes. You know, the fact that the Harper government no longer protects 97% of lakes, and it's just like it's completely ludicrous, right? So I feel like, you know, seeing events like this, and I also actually wanted to mention to Vanessa, when you guys were singing Peace Shalom, there was an eagle that actually just flew overhead. And so I know that the ancestors are here with us today. You know, they're shining down upon us. The ancestors from the Musqueam, the Coast Salish people, the Squamish people, the Tsleil-Waututh people, you know, they're standing here with us, shoulder to shoulder. And I know my ancestors are with me from from Cree territory, from Dene territory, from Métis territory, where people are experiencing the impacts daily, you know. And I think that's something that I would hope that a lot of us can keep. I know for me, when I've been here every day, a lot of tears have come down, because I know that it's also about this issue, but it's also about the issue that connects us back home.
Yes.
And it really lifted my spirits, but it also made me really sad sometimes to see, you know, that the fact that people and elders have to put themselves on the front lines to be able to stop what shouldn't be happening. You know, the fact that we have the ability to transition to renewable energy systems, and we're not doing that. And I think that's something that's completely deplorable, and a thing that we need to be seeing changing as we move forward. And that's something that we're actually doing in Alberta, as we're starting to implement solar installations in First Nation communities. And I'm really excited to see that happening. And you'll hear more about that throughout the next year. We're partnering with a lot of First Nations, and also with my First Nation we'll see solar projects going up. So hi, thank you so much for listening.